Whatever you do, I'm going to be sharing with you 20 years of construction business knowledge, going over all the key functions and how to really propel your business to that next level. Right. So I'm going to be condensing 20 years of business knowledge, both with building contracting businesses, doing real estate investing, building an online business, doing the coaching and consulting that I do now. I'll be sharing with you everything, all the knowledge that I've gained over the years. So you're going to want to watch this entire video. I've got 10 points, specific functions, and exactly what you need to know in those businesses. So if you're starting a new construction business or have just started, this is going to give you a ton of knowledge and value and really give you just a huge step up and really streamline straight path of where to go with your business. If you're an experienced contractor, this is going to give you some really key insights to specific areas of your business and how to really take your business from where you are now to where you want to be. So you're really going to want to watch this entire video in its entirety, as every step is going to add and improve. And the more of these you get in place in your business, the better success you're going to have. So I can't tell you enough that this is really important information that you're going to want to pay attention to. So get out a pen and paper, get out whatever you need to, your notebook to take some notes. There's going to be some key actions that you need to take in order to just build a hugely successful, well-managed, and operationally running crazy business. As you know, I'm all about systems, so I'm going to be going through that with you. As always, give this video a big thumbs, likes up. Super appreciate you for doing that. So let's dive in. First thing, starting out. So I'm going to, starting with the business. And when you're starting out, the big thing is you want to plan. Even if you've been in business for a while, put on the cap that, hey, I'm starting this business now for the first time. Even if you've been in business for 5, 10, 20 years, this will give you kind of like a projection forward of like, if I was restarting the business from scratch, how would I want things to be differently with the knowledge I have? How would I want to incorporate new things into my business? It'll give you key insights of like how you can revolutionize and redefine your business. So the first thing is having a really good plan. And you don't need some huge business plan with everything lined out, because stuff is going to change in 1 month, 6 months, 1 year. But you do want an overarching plan of like, where do I want to be in 6 months? Where do I want to be in 1 year? So maybe you want to take your business from, doing 500,000 in sales to say 750,000 sales. That's a pretty big goal. So what are the steps to get there? Who are you going to need in place? What are the kind of people that you need? What are the key systems you need? And if you grow your business by this much, how much busier will you be as the business owner? So that's a really important thing to figure out. So the first thing is a plan. Second thing is investment. So what is going to invest? So if you're starting out, how much money do you need to get started? Typically, you're going to need some tools. You're going to need some, whether that's, actual physical tools, because you're going to be doing the labor, or tools as far as like software, different things like that. You're going to need insurance. You're going to need, probably some contracts, maybe an advisor. What is the investment for starting out? Really important to understand that. And then pretty much double whatever you think you need, and make sure you've always got some cash or access to capital, because cash flow goes down. The quickest way for a business to end, to go bankrupt, to have to close is, lack of funds set aside for contingencies. So very important about that. The next thing is time frame. So like I mentioned, is it 6 months? Is it 1 year? What is the time frame for getting specific things done in your business? And you want to put stretch goals where you are kind of pushing the limits, and something that's inspiring. If you're already making decent money in your business and you're kind of like just want to get 10 or 20% jump, that's good, but is it really inspiring you? Does it really like involve you putting on a new lens of like, I don't know how to do this, or what I have now won't get me to where I want to be? You really want to be able to do that big leap kind of goal and push yourself. That's like the direction you want to go with really getting high level of success. And if you are starting out right now, I suggest start out as a side hustle. So instead of like jumping in the deep end and going full bore, what can you do kind of on the side to start to prep? Maybe you can get a lot of the business kind of set up, go get a business name, get some marketing, get key kind of like basic structures in place, so that when you are ready to start your business, you already have some experience. If you can do a bit of a side hustle where maybe, evenings or weekends you're working on a project on the side, always be improving your knowledge and things like that. It will go a great way. And that way you're not so dependent on the income from your business when you get started, because if you're solely, just relying on the income from the business and you get started and things don't go well, it's, very easy for the business to go belly up. So if you can continue to work in whatever, job or income that you're doing now, plus kind of like grow it on the side to where it gets to a good point where you can jump into a full time, it'll just be a lot easier transition, and you won't be so reliant on, the initial money. And when you're marketing your business, business, you don't have to start projects right away. So if you are marketing your business and you get someone who's interested, always tell them like, hey, we can start your project in 2 months or 3 months or whatever works for you. This way, it gives you ability to kind of buffer projects so that like I'm going to be launching my business in, March or April or May or whatever. And then, instead of like starting projects as soon as the client is ready for them, putting them out a little bit because they'll have better confidence in you because it's like, oh, they're scheduling us out. So, they've got, a time frame and they're busy with projects or whatever. And that way you can front load the amount of projects you're doing so that you're not just, chasing dollars essentially and running yourself wild because you're going through the ups and downs. So is that making sense? Does that that's how you get started? The second one that I'm going to talk about is branding. So we're going to go in order here from kind of the start of the journey, the end of the journey, moving through everything from, estimating sales, employees, systems, project management, financials, scaling. So we're going to touch on all the bases here. I want this video to be a full encompassment of a construction busy business and how to go from wherever you're at now to that next level of where you can, get past the day to day. You can have the structures in place. You know what kind of marketing and branding to put into place to really grow and excel in your business where it's not running you wild, because I see this all too often with contractors is they've grown their business or they're starting out and they're just like overworked, overstressed, things aren't going, well, or they're super busy and they don't know how to keep up and they've kind of done things in the improper order and they've brought on too much work or not enough marketing or sales, and the components of the business aren't all working together properly. So that's why we're going through this one at a time. So the second one I'm going to be going on here is branding. So branding, very important and probably something that you probably haven't thought about a whole lot. You've got your colors, you've got your logo, things like that. But a big component of branding, especially when you're starting out or if you're having issues with the quality of the clients that you're bringing in, you want to be doing an ideal client avatar exercise. So get out a piece of paper. There's lots of resources online. I have resources as well that I go through with clients, and we really pinpoint who is your ideal client, what's their demographics, what's their thoughts, what's their worries, what's their background, what's their family structure like. So it's all these things that you want to be really clear on who you're marketing to. It's not that you're only going to do business with those types of people, but you want your marketing and your sales and everything to be aligned so that those types of people are coming into your business and you're working with clients that you want to work with, that are a good fit, that you're interviewing clients as much as they are interviewing you when you have a lead come in. Because as you've probably experienced, having bad clients or clients that shouldn't be, working with you is a quick way to really just demoralize your workforce, to run you crazy with dealing with problems. So it all starts with the ideal client. Very important that you figure that out. And that's a continual thing. Myself, I look at this every quarter. I go to my ideal client worksheet that I have and I revise it. Things change in the business, or the kind of clients that we take on also change. So you want to be really clear of where the business is going and what kind of clients you want to bring in. And as you have more and more clients, you get a better understanding of like who's the ideal person and how do I market and brand to that person. The second thing is aesthetics. So if and I get this from contractors all the time, I want to be working with higher level clients, like higher quality clients, because we always think like those clients that are doing the really high end builds or services, they're easier to work with, they have money, they're not as worried about nickel and diming. It's more about quality and experience. So that is great. I think almost most contractors really want to be at that level, but take a really good look at your website, your marketing, your team, the way that you follow up, the systems you have in the business, the experience that you're providing, and tell yourself, is this how a high level company operates? If I am going to be putting 2 million or $3 million into building a new home, or I'm going to be building a $5 million commercial project, do I look like the kind of company that I would want to hire? And ask yourself that honestly and say like, my website looks kind of outdated. It's really generic. There's nothing personal in there. Like whatever it is, just really put on that lens of like, yeah, it's great that you want to get better clients, but you have to become a better business and even improve yourself as a leader and build your personal brand to some extent in order to get those level of clients. And it is a process, but that is how you do it, is through branding. Values are also huge as well. So part of branding is values. What do you stand for? Pretty much everybody I meet will say, like, yeah, integrity, we're honest, we're this and that, but are your actions backing that up? And is it communicated to your team? Does everybody know, what the values of the company are and what is it, acceptable and what's not acceptable? Because again, that will differentiate you as a certain type of business and you'll attract a certain type of client because of that. Finally, positioning. So this kind of goes along with values and your ideal client, but positioning yourself and your company in that top spot. So So are you positioning yourself as, a high level, high quality building firm? Often this will go along with really strong design aspects. Or you luxury high end is not always, the best or what you necessarily need to. You could just be friendly, the quick, the, whatever. There's a lot of other key things that can bring you great clients. But what is your position in the marketplace, and how do you position yourself, above your competition for that niche that you're filling? So is that making sense? Branding, it really starts and ends with branding as far as like the clients and how profitable you're going to be. So next point I'm going to be moving on here is number 3 is marketing. So the key things with marketing that you want to be looking at is your website, is like that is your real estate. So if you have like a storefront, if you've ever gone, down a street and you can see all the different businesses, your website is that storefront, is that what that business looks like. So is your website, again, who is it attracting? Is it functional? Do people get enough information? Is there a lot of, calls to action on there? Is it searchable? How's your SEO? So there's the website is like your central hub, your main piece of the traffic that brings clients in. You're going to have to get people to your website, but that is your storefront. And it's really like the main thing nowadays is people are going to search you on Google or find you somewhere else, and they're going to go to your website. So it has to really be top notch and really functional. Aesthetics are big. Social media is another one. So how do your social profiles look? They don't have to be perfect. Social media, definitely people like authentic content and something that's, real and coming from you. So get comfortable being on camera, get comfortable doing write-ups, get comfortable sending, pictures. I am not about the social media hamster wheel. That's not my game, and I don't suggest that for contractors. If you're starting out, you may need to put a ton of energy and effort into this, personally. Better to have someone on your team who can kind of do this stuff, but it only takes you a few minutes to snap a few pictures, take a quick video. And if you can get comfortable with yourself being on video, like take this step to get comfortable on video. You don't even have to like send the videos to anybody, but just put your phone up, walk around your site, take a quick video in your truck, wherever you are, and just get used to seeing yourself and hearing yourself on video. It'll be a superpower for you because, first of all, not a lot of contractors I feel are really utilizing video very well, and it'll build your personal brand. And when you clients come to you and they've seen some of your videos, they're just gonna be that much more warmer because they know your voice, they know what you look like, they've seen some of your content. When you get on a sales call with someone like that, the reputation, the trust factor, you've already built up, a bunch of goodwill. It's not as strong as a referral, but they already know you, and it's just like the sales process is that much more easier, and you're much more likely to get a project from someone like that. So get comfortable with it. It is a skill. It can be learned. You need practice, and just get past that little bit of discomfort and start making some video content. Put it on YouTube, put it on your social medias, put it on your website. Things like that are really great. So social media, huge for the marketing. Email marketing is another avenue. So with marketing, you want to be thinking multifaceted. So there's not one single vehicle that's going to get you, to the success you want. You could try to like use one vehicle and pump it through, and there's probably going to be one that's going to stand out from the rest, but everything needs to work together, and you need to be able to, especially as you grow, be able to pull leads from multiple different avenues. So we mentioned your website, social media. Next one is email. Have an email campaign, automatic. People subscribe to you, they get an email. Hey, welcome to our newsletter, welcome to our email. Here's a bunch of our social media or whatever. Send them in some other directions to, get more into your ecosystem and have more touch points. A lot of clients, they're not going to see one ad or one content or one this or that and reach out to you, right? Usually people will watch or click on ads or check your website multiple different times. And then, 1 month, 2 month, 5 months later, they may actually contact you for their project or to, get services from you. So really important with that. Email, you can export lists. So if you've got like an estimating list, if you've got, your QuickBooks clients list, all those kind of things, prospects lists, whatever you have, combine that in a data set. Very easy to export and combine that, and then use something like, MailChimp or First Contact. There's a bunch of these email marketing systems, and send out an initial email. You do want to make sure that you have consent to send emails and that you're not just, bombarding them. And then have like a sign up and direct people to that on your website through email, through whatever. Whenever someone new comes into your organization, make sure that you have like a consent checklist and that you can start sending them emails, because this is a great way to keep leads warm. And like I said, they may not be interested right now, but they may be in the future. So email marketing, very very important, very powerful. And then finally, your physical marketing is going to be kind of the icing on the cake. It's still very important. Obviously, digital is like, the big thing nowadays and is going to continue to be the big thing. But physical branding is really powerful in the sense that people are going to remember it, they're going to recognize it, and it's going to be so local that they're going to know right away that you do business in their area. So things you want to look for is having a truck wrap or at least a decal on your truck, putting a site sign at every project that you do. Make sure you put a sign in the front yard. Tell the client you're going to do it ahead of time that has your business on there. And then get door hangers and go walk the block. So wherever you're working, walk the block, maybe the neighborhoods around where you're working. Put a door hanger. Just say something like, "Hey, we're working in your area. We're building in your area. While we're here, if you want a free estimate, I'd love to come over and chat with you and whatever." So you don't have a lot of verbiage on a door hanger, but keep it short, keep it sweet, but let them know, hey, we're local. We're working next door at one of your neighbors' houses. If you have something on your house that you may want the same service, let us know. We'll give you a quote, right? So very easy. This saves you a ton of time too, because now you're getting leads in a certain area where you already have a project. So it's just a really great virtuous cycle of how to use like real world physical marketing. So is that making sense? Take care of those marketing avenues there and make sure you're doing great follow-ups going into like a CRM or some sort of database. You're gonna be well on your way to huge success. Which one of those right now do you feel would give you the biggest boost or be the most likely that you would want to get started with? Let me know in the comment below. Love to hear about you and which marketing avenue you feel is going to be the strongest for your business. So feel free to comment. Got a lot to get through here. So kudos to you. If you make it to the end, I guarantee you will be successful in your contracting business and you are going above and beyond most other contractors out there. So really going that extra bit and doing that bit extra is what is going to give you success. So I applaud you for that. We went on marketing. Number 4, estimating. So we've done the branding, we've done the marketing. Now it's time to estimate. You've got the lead, you went to the house, you checked them out. Through estimating, a big thing is you like kind of the first kind of thing to get used to or to get used to if you've already reached a certain level is your money mindset. So often when large projects come up, or maybe you're starting out for, early on in your career as, a business owner, you're going to get used to certain levels of income and it's going to both provide freedom for you, but it's also going to be a limit. So if you're used to doing projects that are, 20,000 or 40,000, and all of a sudden you start getting projects that are like 100,000 or 200,000, you need to really check yourself and make sure that your estimating is on point and that you're not cutting costs or getting into projects that are going to affect you long term. I've had this happen to me where I got a really large project, largest project we've ever got as a company. I was super excited, but I had done my estimating ineffectively and my estimating processes weren't at a place where I should have been. And it caused me a lot of trouble. I lost money on that job. And unfortunately, it was a good growing experience. I learned a bunch from it. But in hindsight, had I not been quite as excited as, getting this big project, I would have probably estimated better. And I may have still got the project. I may have not. But at least if I did get the project, I knew I was going to be profitable and that I was set up for success. So just a certain, money mindset thing. When you're leveling up the projects that you're doing, just be a little bit careful and make sure you're pricing properly so you're not getting into a large project that could really sink your ship and cause a lot of, difficulties for you. So with estimating, the big thing here is there's a whole system that goes into this. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to get into that. You can go check out some of my other videos. I've got specific videos on estimating and estimating systems and how to get all that set up. But the big things you got to think about in this for this, video and not, losing money on projects is make sure you're including project management time. I see this across the board. I even get, some pushback from contractors when I mention this. Some it's like instant clue. It's like, yes, that makes sense. Others is like, I don't know if I want to do this, but estimate your project management time. And what I mean by this is every project that you do is going to take you some time. So whether you have project managers now who are already doing it, or if you are doing all the project management, whatever it is, kitchen renovation, new home build, there's going to be a certain amount of time that you're going to need to dedicate to manage the project. So that's, talking to subs, talking to clients, managing field guys who are on site, ordering materials, building schedules, building budgets, talking with designers, whatever it is, right? So figure out how many hours per day you're going to spend on this project. Typically projects 1 to 3 hours per day, depending on the size of the project that you're going to spend on managing that project. You want to make sure you're tracking your time and that you're charging your estimate effectively. So let's say, you're going to spend about average 2 hours of each day managing, a new home build or what have you. Then you want to make sure that that's going to take 6 months or whatever the time period. How many hours is that? Is that 300, 400 hours that you're going to spend on that project? times that by your hourly rate. So, project manager could be anywhere from 70 to $100 an hour or more, and then build that into the estimate. And I know what some guys think is like, well, if I build that into the estimate, my pricing is going to be super high. Well, what you need to do is adjust your overhead markup accordingly, not to the point where, again, you're not being profitable or you're not leaving enough buffer, but instead of trying to, make money from the overhead and markup as you normally would, and just figuring that that's, coincides with the project management, is having the project management separate, having the overhead markup maybe a little bit smaller. So the pricing is still not, skewed or way too high, but this enables you to hire more project managers, and you know that your time spent on a project, it gives you a better understanding of like, I don't mind spending an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours per day on this project because I've budgeted for that. I know that I'm getting paid for this time. And if I get more projects, I can hire a project manager, take care of this. And I know that if I've got 3 projects for them, I've budgeted 2 to 3 hours per day for each project. I can pay them easily, still be making overhead and markup on their salary, as well as, like you probably pay them maybe 40 or $50 an hour, charging 70 or 80 or what have you. So you'll be making money in that. And I'm spending a lot of time on this because it is very important, and it will enable you to kind of unlock the ability to start hiring project managers and really scale and grow your business. The things I'm talking about here, you want to be thinking long term. So in your business right now, you might be like, that's not really important, or I'll just keep doing it the way that I've always done it. And it may work for you right now, but if you double your business, triple your business, quadruple your business over the next 1, 2, 3 years, wheels are going to fall off if you have ineffective systems, if you have, the wrong thought process and mindset of going into this, because as you grow, things will change and you'll very soon become overwhelmed. And, budgeting and financing and, watching your numbers are going to become uber important as you grow and scale. So super important. Is this making sense? Finally, on estimating, I will talk about overhead. So overhead, you want to be going to your books. If you are a new company and you're not sure how much your overhead is, just figure out what you're going to spend that's not specifically for a project. So things like insurance, software, vehicles, fuel, usually depending, what kind of projects you do. So all these kind of like things that are costs specifically for a project, figure that out, how much you spend in a month. If you've got the track record, go to the past year, what's your overhead for the year, divide that by the number of projects you have, and now you know how much overhead you need to charge per project, or figure it out as a percentage. So what percentage of your revenue is your overhead? And now you know if it's, if you have overhead of 5% or 10%, your markup needs to be at least that, just to cut even. And then of course you want to be above that for profitability, and also have some buffer in there. So project management overhead, very important to include those inside your estimate. If any of this isn't making sense, or you need more depth on this, do check out my other videos or drop me a comment and I'll be happy to answer your questions. So let's keep going on this ride here. Like I said, we've got a bunch to get through, and it's every step is going to build off the last one. So after estimating, you've got the estimate in place, you got the proposal, looking good. It's like, oh, I'm going to make all this money on this project, done my homework, things are great. Now you just need to get it sold. You need that client to say, yes, let's go forward, sign the dotted line, here's a deposit, let's go. So that is the next step in the process here, is your sales. So how do you build an amazing sales process? How do you get better conversion rates? How do you make sure that you're not doing all this estimating and branding and marketing and for nothing, and then the client says no at the end of the day, right? So first things first, you want to get some sort of system in place, a CRM, so client relationship management software, and you can use your project management software as your CRM. I wouldn't really suggest it. It works for the proposal and estimating side of things, but not so much for the marketing and branding, sales kind of side of things. But beyond that, things like HubSpot is a good free option. There's a bunch of them out there. I use High Level personally, and the one that I would suggest, but there's a bunch. But get a good CRM. The reason that you want to do this is that it'll help you with all your marketing efforts. For one, good CRM will help you with all your marketing, but you can keep track of your clients, and you can add clients to your email list and all those different things. So get a good CRM in place. Positioning, as you mentioned before, it's really important that when you walk into a meeting, and just a side note, when you do have an estimate in place, make sure you're meeting with the client in person. Unless you're selling for like things that are less than maybe a few $1,000s, like, a trade contractor and it's a small job or something. But anything of any kind of significance, you want to be meeting with the client in person to hand them the estimate and go through it. If you can't meet them in person, or you just have like you're overwhelmed with, quotes and projects and everything, at the very least, schedule like a Zoom call, a video call, and go through it, do a screen share, show them the estimate, send them an email with it, or tell them after the video that you're going to send them an email with that information for them to review. But you need to go through it to have that personal touch, and it'll set you aside from other contractors, and it will also help your closing ratio just that much more. Because if you're just emailing over to someone, it's like you've done all this work, and you're not even taking the time to meet with the person or talk with them or set up a meeting. It doesn't go well, and your sales are going to suffer because of it. So really important. And when you are on a sales call or a sales meeting, you're meeting with them, even during the estimating portion of it, when you're doing like a walkthrough of their home, the positioning is really important too, because you need to position yourself as an expert. This doesn't mean you need to be arrogant and like, I know everything and I'm, the end all be all of contractors. You want to be humble, but at the same time, you want to position yourself as, I'm experienced. I know what I'm doing. This is a normal project. We've done work with other clients that have done this project before. We are a great company to work for. You need to sell yourself first as like being an expert, being professional, and then being personable and really caring about them. And the confidence will come through, and that'll really help drive the sales conversation and get you to the end of where you can close them, get the project sold, and move on. Because if you believe that you're the best option for them and that you can handle their project with confidence, that'll come through and it'll be a fairly easy sales process. You're not going to win everyone, obviously, but your percentage chance will be much, much higher if you position yourself well. So beyond that, follow-ups, super important. Even if they say, we don't want to go forward with you, we've gone with another contractor, or, we're going to put the project off because we don't really have finances for this, or it's more than we thought, or whatever. You want to make sure you're always following up with them and always tell them the next step. Is it okay if I call you tomorrow? Is it okay if once the estimate done, I set up a meeting with you? Is it okay if I follow up with you in 3 months, even if they've gone with another contractor, just to see how it goes? If you have any questions, or anything seems, out of place, I'm there for you. Understand if we weren't the right fit for you at this time or what have you. So always be following up, because you never know. They may have a bad experience with that contractor. That contractor may, their schedule may drop through, whatever, may happen in the future. It keeps that connection open. And if they haven't had a great experience with that contractor, when their friends or their family or maybe themselves want to do another project, they're going to be like, you know what, this guy here, he did follow up with us. He kept in touch. We ended up not going with him. We kind of regret it. So, you may get referrals from people just by simply keeping in touch with them. Another great reason to have that email campaign working in the background. And then the final thing I'm going to touch on here with sales is closing. So like I said, it's one thing to get all the way to the finish line. If you can't get the contract signed and move them to the next step, then it's all kind of been for nothing. So what I teach in the way that I work is I call it the coaching close. So you're not there as a salesperson trying to do some kind of trick tactics of giving them, something. I'm trying to think of ones but I know I've heard so many over the years of you want to just give them the paper and ask them which way they want to pay, or certain things kind of forcing their hand or trying to trick them. Don't start a relationship like that. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants a salesperson. They want to buy, and they want someone who can guide them and that they can trust, right? So be a coach, be a guide, help them through it. Just say, I've had clients before who are a little bit apprehensive of getting started. I understand it's a big, step in the right direction, but all my clients, once they start working with us, have had a great experience. Not that everything is going to go perfect, but I understand there's, getting this signed and getting the deposit, there's a little bit of trouble in there. But I promise you, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure this is a wonderful experience, and we treat your money like it's our own. So why don't we just get started with your project and move forward? And it's one less decision that you need to make this week. So really coach, guide them, be there for them and help them through that process. Make sure you're always getting a deposit, because you want them to have buy-in. If they're signed a contract and they have not given you any money, that's a non-deal, right? Even though maybe you could use that contract or whatever, but make sure that there's been money paid, and you always want to be financing a project. We're going to get financing later on in this video, but you want to always make sure you have money in the bank from the client so that you're not financing the project, so that when you will go to scale and grow your company, you start a bunch of projects, now you're out a whole bunch of cash flow, and the wheels come off and the dominoes fall over, right? So don't want to have that happening. So that is the sales process. Sales are incredibly important, and what we've gone through so far is kind of like the first big phase of really successful and well-run construction company. Because if you've done everything from points 1 to 5 that we've talked about so far, then on the back end, yeah, there's going to be efficiencies and different things, and we're going to go through all that. But you're going to be profitable. You're going to be working with the right clients. You know how to produce more sales, more marketing, how to grow your business. So that beginning of this whole process that we've talked about so far is super critical, important. And because you're a contractor, construction worker that's come through, probably like myself, started on the tools, did trades work, became a project manager or what have you, and started my own company, that I didn't have a lot of sales experience. I didn't have marketing, branding experience, right? I didn't have that background knowledge. And that's a lot of skills that I, over the past 10, 20 years now, have read a ton of books, gone through a ton of trainings, paid a lot of money to coaches, gone through so many sales conversations, sold millions of, tens of millions of dollars of, products and services. And it takes a lot, and it's something that you really need to get better at and something you need to focus on, because your go-to is going to be running the projects, managing the projects, because it's what you're comfortable with, it's what you know. So the sales and marketing stuff, there's always the tendency that you're just going to want to hire someone to do it or not do it well, or just get work off referrals or what have you. But you really need to put some time and energy into getting this down, because if you can become good at this stuff, you don't have to be like the best expert, but at least understand and know it and be able to do it at a competent level. It'll change your entire business and really take care of a lot of the issues and problems that I see in the industry with contractors and the struggles that they go through. So does that make sense? Are you still with me here? All right, so moving on. Like I said, we're like halfway through here. We're at number 5. I've got another 5 more to go. Kudos for you for going through this. Like I said, this is a full encompassing video to make sure that you're hitting the mark on all these different points, and you get all this in place and work on this from, start at the beginning and just like figure out this, number 1, number 2, number 3, work on these in order, maybe pick one per week or one per month to work on, and your business will transform and change. Guarantee that for sure. So number 6. All right. Number 6 is employees. So your team. This is the next piece of the puzzle. Now you've done the estimating, you made the sale. Now you need a team to actually do the project and bring everything to life, right? So employees, we're going to go through the process again. If you know, for myself, I'm about processes and systems. First thing is hiring. So just as you want to be having the right clients, you want to be having the right employees, and you don't want to be waiting till it's too late to like be struggling and then just get warm bodies in. You want to be hiring people for the long run. If that means things are a little bit chaotic or a little bit too busy at times, so be it. All heard it before, and if you haven't, it is very easy to say, but not so easy to actually go ahead and do, is hire slow, fire fast. So hiring should be a slow process. You should not just meet someone and hire them on the spot. First of all, just as we did an ideal client, you should have an ideal employee in mind. So what are the demographics? What are their experience? Where are they located? What do they have? What are the deal breakers? If they have a license, they have a certain number of years of construction experience. So really understand who that person is for that position, and then create a job wanted ad for that specific person in that specific position. And then when you're going through the interview process, you're going to want to have, your standard questions, and you want to be rating people in these certain questions so that you're being objective as possible. Generally, you're still going to hire on your gut of who you feel is the right fit for the project. But that said, by going through a standard set of questions and having some ratings, later you can go like, you know what, I like this person, but really they didn't really hit the mark in a lot of different areas here. I think there's probably going to be problems with this person. Whereas this other person maybe wasn't the first like best, first impressions, but they've actually have like a lot of the stuff I'm looking for. So maybe I overlooked something like that. So you can be more objective and actually get the right people into your company. So hiring is incredibly important with building your team, building your business, and making sure you have the right people in your place. So number 2, you've hired the right person. Now you need to onboard them. And the onboarding should not be, hey, here's the site. Do you have your stuff? Good. Go over there, start working, right? Onboarding process, there should be experience for the new employee, because that's going to set you apart again from other contractors. And it's going to make sure that the employee feels, hey, there's a process here. Hey, they really care about making sure that I have what I need to succeed, and lay out what their experience is going to be with your company. These are the first things. Have an employee handbook. These are values. These are company culture. This is how you do this. This is how you fill out your time. This is when you get vacations. This is how you get paid. So employee handbook to tell them all of that, and then lay out like where they're going to be in their journey. So you know what, you're starting out, you got 3 months of probation. Within 6 months, if you pay attention and you're committed to learning, I believe you could become our level 1 or your level 2, or within 1 to 2 years, typically the guys that want to be, we can promote to a crew leader, or we can train you on specific things. So get their feedback of what they want. Let them know that there's a future inside your business. And if they apply themselves over years, that they can move up in your business, make more money, gain more skills, all that kind of stuff. Very important to be setting that culture early of improvement and, opportunities for them. So you're keeping them for the long run. It's very expensive to constantly having turnover employees. So when you hire an employee, think about it. I'm hiring this person for the next 5 years. So if you don't want to know this person for the next 5 years, or if you're just like, I'm just going to hire this person, then after the summer, when things get slow, they're probably going to be on the out and out. Or maybe I'll hire five and, three of them will work out. Have the mindset that you're going to be hiring for the long term. If you're not sure if they're going to last long term, maybe you need to, check your ad again or wait for the right person to come through. Training, as we talked about, very important. And employees, I'm talking a lot about site, field guys right now, but your admin, maybe you have salespeople, maybe you have project managers. Creating a training program is going to do massive amount of good for your business as well, because you've hired someone and you're going to be paying them a certain wage, right? So you're going to be paying them this wage probably kind of no matter what. Like obviously some guys are going to maybe get better raises than others depending on how their performance is, but ultimately that wage is going to stay kind of the same. But the production and the value of that employee is going to be ever increasing if you're training them properly and investing in them. So you're paying them regardless. You may as well take the time and create a training program or some sort of system that they get trained and they become more productive, they've gained more skills, they become more valuable to the company. So training program is super important. Otherwise, you are spending money and you're getting nothing specific. It's just a one-to-one. If you have a training program, that one-to-one continues to get better exponentially as you train and improve that employee over time. And then the last one we're touching on is communication. So communication is huge. I'm going to be sharing with you like my best tips and tricks in these certain areas. With communication, the big thing, if you're not doing it already, is have regular meetings. I know you're probably like, nobody really likes meetings. That may be true to some degree. So I agree with you there. Although they are super important and they don't have to be long, and there's a good way and a bad way to do them. But with your field guys, at least once a week, depending on how many people you have, but everyone should at least at some point like get on a video call and just take like 10 or 15 minutes once per week just to get everybody on the same page and just let them know anything that's coming up new. Maybe you got some new projects coming up, maybe something important like, have we left tools anywhere? Is there any new safety stuff that needs to be talked about? What's happening in the company? Tell them a little bit behind the scenes, because often employees like they feel sort of like their distance from actually what's happening in the company and they don't really know what's going on. So give them a little insight of like, hey, we're having some new marketing materials going out, or, we've had a whole bunch of leads coming in. So things will probably get really busy soon. So give them a little bit of insight of what's going on. That will be much appreciated and help with communication across the company. And then if you have managers and a management team, then definitely you want to be meeting with them, probably monthly at least, and be meeting with specific key people. So if you've got like a designer, a project manager, operations manager, any key like people, make sure you've got like a regular time slotted where you can just focus your attention and help them. But giving your time and helping coach them and building them as people, it's going to come back to you in that you won't have to, be proactive with your communication so that they're not just coming for you to fight fires and to take care of this and take care of that and bring all the problems to you, right? So you set it up ahead of time, you train them well, and you keep those lines of communication open. It takes care of a lot of that firefighting and a lot of that back and forth. So the final kind of next step here, we got a couple more to go here, is going to be on systems. So I love systems. Now that you've got your sales and marketing in place, you got your people, the next big step is systems, because you're going to have a certain level of business. There's no way to grow if you don't have great systems to scale. Otherwise, you're just going to go crazy and things are going to get out of hand. So following with me here. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'd love to answer those for you. All right. So systems, the big ones that like the big mindsets. I'm not going to get into specifics like how to set systems up right now. You can go check out my other videos for that, but you want to do the work once. So I'm always thinking, how can I only do this once and continue for it to get paid into the future, continue to always be able to gain benefit from it. So that is the way you got to be thinking with systems. You're always going to be improving them, but instead of doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, how can I create a system, delegate that so that it continues to get done, but I only have to do the work once, right? And that the work once is like doing it, figuring it out, creating a system, and then delegating it is usually how it goes. There's automations nowadays, which can also be set up. So you set up the automation once, it continues to run in the background. And every little piece that you get in place, every system that you improve, every system that you have in place, it enables you to be more efficient, to be more profitable, and to spend less time. So you have more time to improve yourself, improve your business. So it's like a virtuous cycle, but you do need to get started and you need to get these systems in place. So that's a key mindset. The second mindset is it is an asset. So often as a contractor, you will be thinking about revenue. How can I grow my revenue? How can I grow my profit? How can I make more money? But you need to start thinking of your business as a product. If someone was going to come to you today and say, I want to buy your business, do you think they would want to pay you money for it? If you're spending over 20 to 30 hours in your business per week, your business is not going to be worth very much. So what they're actually buying is not necessarily the amount of revenue or what you're doing or the structure that you've set up. What they're buying is your system. Is your business a system that makes money? If I put in $10, am I going to be able to pull out $20 tomorrow? So whatever they're investing, they want to be able to pull out with the least amount of work and time that they have to put into it. So systems are assets, and the value of it is not just in the time and the money that saves you, it's in the sellability and the value of your business if you ever want to sell or bring in a partner or whatever. So be thinking about that. I'm going to share with you the 3 Ds. So these are the 3 Ds to systematizing a business you're going to do. So whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to be doing that. It could be estimating, could be project management, could be nailing wall together. You're going to document it. So you got to get it in document. You can use things like ChatGPT or Gemini for Google or whatever nowadays, and it's very easy just to put in your thoughts, and it creates a great documentation for like a standard operating procedure. And then you want to delegate. So you follow that path and you just start doing the 3 Ds for every little function and thing in your business, and it just like you build out this whole very valuable system of systems for your business. If you want help with this, again, comment, check out my other videos. That's what I do. I help my clients systematize their business. And then the quickest way that I've found to systematize a business is to build that SOP. So get a standard operating procedure in place. Just the top 5 to 10 steps. What are the big steps that they need to do to get this accomplished, whatever task it could be, whatever part of your business it is. Fill out a bit of a description. You don't have to overthink it because you're going to constantly be improving with it over time. And you're going to find you're going to build this SOP, you're going to delegate it to someone, and they're not going to understand some stuff. There's things that they're going to miss or skip. You're going to have to go back to the drawing board and revise your SOP. So there's going to be things that are constantly going to be changing, and especially when you go. So don't spend a whole ton of time on the SOP thinking you have to get it perfect before you start delegating it. Often that process will be reciprocal there. And then create a training video. So get on a Zoom or whatever and share your screen if you're doing like an estimate, and just like get some work done and then make a training video while you're doing it, or find a YouTube video that shows like how to do something. So if it's like field guys and you want to train like maybe new guys that have no experience how to use like a framing nailer or how to paint a wall, you don't have to make the video yourself. Just find one on YouTube that goes like with the process that you think is good, and have that link, put it in a document or build like a quick website or whatever, and just ask them to go, can you watch this 10-minute video of this process so that you have an idea of how we want things to get done. So very easy nowadays to have that SOP and that training video, and now you've got a system essentially to delegate that task to someone else. So is that making sense? All right. So hope you're getting excited here because we are nearing the end. We've got 3 more to go. I applaud you for staying on this and really getting through it. I know there's a lot of content and material I'm going through, but this is really going to give you key business knowledge of like an oversight of a complete well-functioning, well-run business and what you need in place, plus some key tips, like I said. So number 8 is project management. This is like the meat in the sandwich, the burger in the bun for a burger, because the project management is like, it's a thing that we love to do. Hopefully you love to do. I know it can be very stressful, but it's generally what you're being paid for, and the key like component and deliverable for your business is the project management. So how can we do this better, and how can we make that experience amazing for our clients? Because that is what's going to get referrals, and that's what's going to excite them and make sure that they're handing you checks every week and loving your service. So project management, first thing is software. Even if you're starting out, go buy some software for project management. It is really inexpensive compared to what the benefits you get. So for me, working with general contractors, it's going to be like Contractor Foreman, great software. That's probably my go-to. Price point is super affordable. Builder Trend is another good one. Procore if you're a commercial contractor. So go get yourself a proper project management software and start utilizing it. Scheduling is going to be a big thing. So make sure you're building out schedules for for your projects. And some of this pre-planning of a project is super important, and it's something that often gets overlooked because, oh, we're too busy to get, a schedule in place or to do a proper material takeoff, to do like, proper selections with clients to figure out like exactly what kind of flooring or paint colors and all that stuff. Get that done before you step foot on a project, because you do not want to start a project unless everything is buttoned down, at least like 95 to 98% of like all the project schedule, the plan, the people, everything should be in place in order. So when you hit go, it's just you follow the steps and you have a successful build. Obviously, there's going to be things that come up, but that's why you put buffers in there. So in your schedules, always have like a day or 2 days buffer between certain trades, key milestones. If you've got like inspections, make sure you've got a buffer there to take care of, if inspection fails, you need a day or two to take care of those items to get the project back on track. So don't condense the project so much that you're offering or telling clients that, hey, we can get this done in 3 months, when 3 months is like best case scenario, right? Always tell them more time. And this can be something for new contractors where they're a little bit scared of like, well, if I tell them it's going to take like 3 months for the kitchen renovation, they're going to go with the other guy that can do it in a month or whatever. That is a great opportunity for you to say, you know what, we plan our projects properly. We budget, about 3 months for a project like this. We hope to do it quicker, but in reality, that is generally what it takes. If people are telling you that they can do it faster, you're probably going to run into issues with them or your project, and it'll end up taking longer. That's why when you hear in the industry, there's a lot of scare stories about, the contractor that hired said it'd be done in a week, and now it's like 4 weeks later or 2 months later and it's still not done, right? So we don't want to be that contractor. We want to set a realistic schedule. It may seem long, but I just want to make sure that our expectations and that we're being as truthful as possible and upfront with you. So you say something like that, people will understand, okay, this may take that long, and they'll be fine with it. So really important there. Quality. So, schedules, time, and then the quality that's going to take, the big things. The quality is make sure you have proper checklists in place. So you're going to have your pre-start checklist before the project gets started of what things need to be in place. Once you start, you're going to have generally a framing checklist. You're going to have a rough trades checklist, pre-drywall, rough trades, kind of same thing. That is really important because it's going to save you a ton of time later when you're in the project of like, oh, shoot, we forgot to put that plug in the right place, or hey, we forgot, to put some pot lights here or whatever. So you don't want to be fixing that stuff after drywall's on, especially after you've painted and finished everything. So having great checklists ensure that you are not going back and redoing stuff or having quality issues later with, cracked drywall or, moisture issues or what have you later on. Have a great checklist in place, and it's very easy to implement. There's no reason not to have a good quality control checklist in place, and they will save you money, they will save you time, and make sure everything is getting done. All right. So project management, the final kind of piece to the puzzle of like really great project management is client communication. So the client experience, client communication is above and foremost like the end all be all of being successful and making sure that you have high quality clients and that you get lots of referrals. So ways to improve client communication are by sending an email every week and just letting them know what happened that week, what's happening next week, and any like pertinent points or information. This is a great thing to do on Friday. You send to the client, hey, this week we got the cabinets installed, we started the flooring, and next week we're going to be finishing the cabinets, and countertops are coming later in the week. This just gives them a quick little thing of like, this is what's happening, this is what to expect. Even if you have a schedule that they can see, like in your project management software, send them an email and then like notes like, hey, we got the wrong handles, don't worry, we've sent them back, they're going to be sending the new ones, they're going to be a bit late, so if you don't see handles on the cabinets, don't worry, we're getting them in 2 weeks or what have you. Send them that. Do it on Friday, that way they don't bother you during the weekend, and they know every Friday you're going to give them an update. And it just, again, being proactive, so they don't have to call you for information, they don't have to go to their site. Maybe if you're working in their home, they're going to see you every day, but if not, they'll go on the weekend, they'll check out their home, and it's like all of a sudden they have like a number of questions and they want to bother you on a Saturday or whatever. So keep that communication high. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about with communication with clients is don't be afraid to have those really difficult conversations and don't make light of them. Clients may not like it when there's problems. They may not like it when something's happened and it's your fault. Hopefully it's not your fault, but if it is, like either case, bad news, good news, you need to call your client and let them know and just get it over with. They will appreciate you so much. As soon as there's a problem, give them a call. Hey, Mr. Smith, I apologize, but whatever, guy didn't show up and we're going to be, 2 days behind or what have you. Or, hey, you know what, I forgot to budget for this. The project is actually going to cost, an extra $5,000. Sorry this happened, but just wanted to let you know right away that, unfortunately this issue came up or what have you. So really be straightforward, and they may not like the news, but at least they'll appreciate you bringing it to them, and you can kind of work the angle that you're on the same side. This is the challenge. This is the problem that came up. And now you're going to, work work, you're going to continue the project and keep moving forward. So very important that you are doing that with your client and you're not sending like an email or something. You need to get on the phone and tell them if there's like some bad news or something's come off, something like that. So very important. That's number 8, project management. Do those things, projects will go so much smoother. We got 2 more to come here. So we're nearing the end here. Very important. The next point is something that I wish I would have really understood better earlier on in my career, because it would have saved me a lot of money and a lot of problems and headaches with my business when things really started to get out of hand. I grew my business. We tripled our revenue in 1 year, and it was good, but it was not good because I was not watching my financials and my money, and I was not operating my business at the level of revenue that I was pulling in, and I was not a good enough business owner or leader to understand or recognize that, and it really set me through a really hard time. Had to sell a lot of my stuff, and it was a really difficult time for me and my family at the time. So definitely do not want you to have to go through that. And that's the reason why I do a lot of the work that I do now with helping contractors, is like, I want you to avoid all the trials, tribulations, time and effort and mistakes that I made, and help you kind of streamline that process and just give you systems and processes and advice that just, set the path for success for you. So number 9 is financials. And then we got one more after that for scaling. So after you got all this stuff in place, that's when things get super exciting. And it's like, we can just scale, take that jump and, off to Never Never Land there. So number 9, financials. The big thing that you want to be looking for, obviously, is avoiding bankruptcy, avoiding having to take on big debt or big loans. So this can get really appealing, especially if, you've got a lot of business coming in and it's like you don't have cash flow or money for it to take on some debt to go into your lines of credits, especially as like, after you've been in business a few years and the banks kind of trust you and you can get larger lines of credit and your revenues are growing. It's really appealing to like, hey, let's, take on a bunch of debt and, use it to get some new marketing or some new tools, or like, I'm investing it back into the business. So I'm going to, it's going to be a good investment because I'm only paying, 5% or 10% interest or 20% interest, but we're growing like, by 40, 50% per year. So, it's a good investment. Don't fall into that trap. I've had it happen to me. I had to pay off some really high interest loans, and it's just very crippling when you're getting money in and it's just like going straight out to loans right away, because often the investments that you make are going to pay off into the future. So it's not going to be instant rewards, and there's going to be that time delay. And if you're running a business properly, you should be profitable enough that you have a natural growth curve and you don't need outside investment. Construction businesses aren't like tech startups or things like that. You can finance growth from, what you're doing, unless you're already doing like, 5 million, you want to go to 50 million or something like that. That's kind of a different story. But if you're like, most contractors kind of, in that multi-million range, then you can easily use profitability and just improve systems to facilitate your growth. So that's a big one. Bookkeeping, get your bookkeeping done, hire a bookkeeper. No reason not to have it in place. Make sure you're checking your statements regularly. So at least every month, if not more often, your profit and loss, your overhead. Take a, look, make sure your overhead's not getting out of, craziness, and always be looking at the trailing 12 months. So month to month, things are going to go up and down. You're going to be, some months are going to be profitable, some not, because it depends when you're getting paid, which projects are starting, this and that, all that kind of stuff. So look at the trailing 12 months over the past, 365 days. What's, been my overhead? What's the trajectory for sales, right? Because if it's up 1 month and down another, it's like, oh no, we're losing money, or oh, we're doing amazing, right? So not a good way to figure out actually what's happening over the long term. And then as far as cash flow goes, as I mentioned earlier, talk about it now, is you want to be collecting deposits on every project, every job. Make sure you have money up front. Typically, I'm speaking for like a general contractor here, you're going to want, could be 10, 20%. If it's a massive project, maybe it's more like, 20 or 40 grand or something, for $1 million project or what have you. It could be more though. It all depends. So get that up front. That kind of like seals the deal. Tell them that gets them a spot in your pipeline. Always let them know like this deposit is what's going to, get you in our pipeline to make sure that we can start your project on time and we can, get started on the design or whatever kind of process that starts the project. Then when you start the project, make sure you're invoicing like every week, every 2 weeks. Let the client know like we invoice regularly, and this is so that you don't have huge checks like where you need 50 or $100,000, of invoices. We invoice every week, so it keeps it smaller, like 15, 20 grand, 5 grand, whatever it may be. It's a lot easier to make payments on that, and it keeps our cash flow well. You don't have to explain everything, but let them know like that you do regularly, and this will keep your cash flow regular. You've got money coming in, every week, every 2 weeks, and it alerts you to problems with clients. If you're sending invoices for like 50 or 100 grand and, they're unable to pay this large invoice or whatever, they're dragging their feet a little bit, it really puts you in a bad position. Whereas if they've got like 1 or 2 invoices behind that are both like 5, 10 grand, not as, alarming and a lot easier to manage. That's a big thing. And you always want to be ahead of the game. So if you've collected a deposit and you have ongoing work, that ongoing work and materials that you purchase for a project should never be more than what your deposit is. So if for some reason something happened and the project had to stop tomorrow, you should not be out money. You should always have enough money in the bank from the deposit or from money you've collected from them that you can facilitate whatever work's been happened up to that point, because that gives you leverage and that makes sure you're not going to be put in a bad position where they're holding money over your head to get things finished, which may sound, counterintuitive, but you've got to protect your business. They've hired you for a specific service. They should pay for it. You don't go to Best Buy or something like that, walk out with a TV and, give them money later. Maybe you get some special financing or whatever, but essentially you want something, you go pay for it, you get it, right? So same thing with your clients. If they want something, they need to pay for it and they get it. You shouldn't be footing the bill and paying for their ongoing renovations and projects and then, invoicing them after. So very important point to get across. This is also important because if you go from, like, let's say you got 3 projects right now, and then all of a sudden you go to 6 projects, well, if you haven't collected proper deposits or if you're putting your own money into other people's projects, your cash flow is going to plummet and you're going to get yourself in a really hard place where, you're having trouble making payroll, or you can't purchase new products and materials for projects and things like that. So you can't scale if your cash flow and your invoicing is behind and you're putting out money into other people's projects. Making sense? I applaud you again for taking the time to go through all this. Super important. And this is like, I think we're going on over an hour here, but in this 1 hour, it's 20 years of experience, and like not just experience myself growing my companies, but of like working with contractors now. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and I really bring that all to the table with what I'm telling you here. So really important. Number 10, moving on here, scaling. So now you've got all these different processes. You got the people, you know how to do project management, you got your financials in place. You've got a well-tuned, high-performance business. So now what do you want to do? Get out to that drag track and let her rip. This is a beautiful moment when you've got all this stuff working properly, because now you just pull the levers and you can scale your business, whether that's, putting some more into advertising, maybe hiring a salesperson, maybe hiring a general manager, so you can like kind of step back from the business. You're in a really great place. So, this is where you really get on your advertising game and are able to kind of take your marketing budget and really, put fuel on the fire to scale up with your ads. Managers, you're going to now become a leader of leaders, which is a whole new set of skills. You've already been managing and leading your team, so you've already got that level, but now you're going to be really a mentor and a coach to these new project managers, these new general managers. Maybe you've got an office manager. So you're going to have another layer of people and, team that you bring into your organization, which is going to affect your cash flow and your profitability. So you need to be aware of that, but more so yourself, of like being that leader that's able to really manage people and help them kind of become their best selves, invest time, and really like your role is going to change essentially. So be really aware of that and just work on becoming a better leader. It's a beautiful time in a business, and I love to help businesses scale. So hope this has all been really helpful for you. Check out the links in the description below if you want to connect. Got some free resources in there. As always, I've got all these tons of extra videos. Every point that I've mentioned here, I've got videos on those specific things if you want to get that dialed into your business. And any questions, drop a comment. Appreciate you. Here is to growing a massively successful business. I know that you can, and use this information well. Revisit this video every 6 months or 1 year, because there's going to be new things you're going to pull out of it. Guaranteed. See you on the next one. Cheers.